I don't know. We gotta see if it might actually work. I'm trying to test out the car. I was just trying to finish my people off with them. That's what it is. So. And then we might look at actually paying for restream, so we're going to make watermarks and stuff.
I need a link to the stream. YouTube stream.
It's fun.
Actually, I didn't see on one of those.
That's because they changed it. It's fun.
It helps to show who's actually going to the head and if it's the. Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be a town. You can kind of hear it. It's fine. Yeah. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. That's why I had you all phone stream already. It should be on. Yeah. There we go. Not really. There we go. On breakup. Yeah, so it went in breakup, and then now on breakup. That would fix this. It's fine.
Yeah, it's mostly important.
It is you see. You know?
That's some cheese.
That's a burger.
There's,
Yeah.
And you can always know if there's a burger. It's one of those like Krabby Patty, like the gummy ones. That would be like the coolest like college like really inside bunch of not freshmen but like sophomores. Sophomores that are just trying to figure out how to make food. Like I got 40 kids. I got 50 people. It's one kind of burger.
Longer.
We won't have to make dinner tonight. That's alright. We've been through that. We're still going to
Figure it out.
we can be eating out of
We probably do like a banner type thing. Just on the website for that.
what about the work
it. It would not be hard.
I don't think we need to do it.
It's promotion.
You know how much it would just be
It said flyers.
Make it size one. It's like, put it out. Put it up on. It's fine. It's legal. It's the fine print, guys.
my mom would be like dinner. Lunch. some nice mac and cheese, not grep, any other mac and cheese.
And you see decided that because either A, I know it's not the best, and you see Cincinnati Easter eggs.
That's not the easy requirement, that's a state law.
Yeah.
It's either no or they have to like agree to like.
Yeah.
You can buy two Chipotle burritos. You buy two Chipotle burritos.
So that is interesting. Conversational thing we do, whether it's like our website or
I can't get over
Instagram.
how fast their rice gets dry because of the like cardboard containers. I gotta start reading.
And like the line uses.
That's wild.
Basically, that makes sense. So good news is.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's like a 1-to-1 thing you can do. It's like it's dry and then you put some water in it. Try it. Just put it in the back of the microwave. Just make sure you cover it then. Put like a plastic lid or something next to it.
There we go.
Like a minute or so.
They don't tell you that it has to be super good. They tell you you have to have it. That's word of law. So,
The most recent. To touch a screen. I can tell you the difference.
Do you have access to it? Maybe
That's so sad. Yeah.
I haven't done to the, connecting the hot phone connect like we didn't get rid of it.
How long ago?
Yeah,
It's so fresh. I just randomly went
There is.
We just do the whole scope of our knowledge. And we're like, I don't know this about
All right, let's get started. So, for those of you who didn't show up last week, I'm Cole, President of Cyber UC. So I think last week I mentioned this is going to be a little bit more technical. I'm going to say this for anybody that's a returning member from like previous years. We're not going straight into the deep end like we have, so just fair warning. So first, please sign in. We have to report this to the university over here. Not kidding, please. And also, if you want to vote in elections or run in elections, you need to fill this out.
It's not as long as that.
It's literally 2 questions. So
We already did this last week.
what?
We just we already did last week.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. You gotta do it every week.
This is
Sorry.
a sign-in, this isn't the first meeting form.
That's different.
That's what I was counting. So what is it? What are the numbers? That's not like from about 6 plus 2 8. Wait, I think that is right. I kind of did 6 about 2.
Okay, I'll take that as everybody's done.
Yeah,
So another reminder, if you haven't doing tree stuff, imagine you're in our Discord or just found us somewhere to be here, but in case you aren't, there you go. So a bunch of announcements. So NCL fall season, we are going to be sponsoring some teams. So if you're interested, reach out to Chad for more information.
I'll be putting a form out there just to gauge interest.
Speak up.
I'll be getting a form out there just to gauge interest. So look out for that on the announcements.
And then this weekend we're doing Down Under CTF in Manti 516. If you're interested in getting involved in that, you don't have to know how to do anything. Just fun fact. It's a great way to learn. So come on out. And then next week for our meeting, we're just going to do career fair prep. Just wanted to warn anybody who's expecting like more technical presentations. That's not what's going to be happening. Then week after, intro to capture flag and code breakers. Should be fun. And a reminder, AQC is coming up in like 2 months. All right, then over to Matt.
So we do like a news and cybersecurity each week just to get pretty cool stuff. So there's kind of a lot here. If you don't know any of this means, that's okay. Basically, a North Korean group called Lazarus was caught targeting the internet backbone infrastructure in Europe. They were using ransomware that's called Wireshark. It's a different branch off one that they've used before, but it's slightly different. A couple.
Which, I guess, do you have any more information on Lazarus? Like previous attacks?
They are increased. They're gaining more activity though. They're becoming more of a problem than they used to be. Another thing that happened was a company called Cloud Nordic, which is a Danish cloud provider, pretty big one. They were hit with ransomware and suffered almost complete data loss. So all the data they had up there, it was pretty much gone because it got locked out. There's a new threat actor group out there called KittenSec. It appears to be going after members of NATO. So if you know what that means, there's speculation that they're related to Russia. There's a new trend going around that are actually using QR codes as fish bait. So if you know what phishing is, those emails you get that's like, hey, click this link, give me money. Instead of there being a link there, it's just like a QR code. So you can't see the URL behind the QR code unless you get to do it. So that's the thing that's becoming quite popular. Russia-Ukraine hybrid war is still a thing. So there's actually 2 big things that happened, and neither of them were in those countries. It was related to Poland. So Russia went after Polish banks, the Warsaw Stock Exchange, and government services in Poland, and they were pretty effective at disrupting those with DDoS attacks. Those that are distributed denial of service, for those that might be aware. Poland also suffered railroad disruption. after people were just like bought communication equipment and were just like sending stop signals at the right frequency and the trains were stopping. Once again, they did arrest 2 people who were Polish citizens, but they still think that it was related to Russia. And then another thing that happened was UK air traffic control experienced a technical shutdown, I think this past weekend maybe. They say it was just a technical shutdown, but of course, once again, it's still under investigation. There's speculation that it was Russia's doing. So at the end of the day, if something bad's going on, it might be Russia or North Korea. Shocker. I think that's it. So if you have any questions or other news that you may have heard that's not up there in the past week?
All right, so if you weren't here last week, really we just did a bunch of intro stuff. Didn't really miss much. So should have come. I don't know. So let's switch over to content. All right, so this is more of like a networking primer, and then I'm going to go into a more interesting thing that Josh, who, if you're not familiar with Josh, is one of our board members, did last year, which is just looking around UC's network. In theory, by the way, not in practice. So everybody know what a network is. I'm going to try to breeze through the primer section as much as possible. Anybody not know, please raise hands. Don't feel bad. Cool. Why do I care? So why you would care about what both these things are? Basically, the entire baseline for the internet, our jobs, everything. I know that's super general and quick, but I kind of want to get through baseline stuff really, really quickly. I apologize to anybody who already knows some of this stuff. So the other piece, just a quick refresh on all this. Everybody familiar with the OSI model? Yes, no? Hands?
Hands up if you're familiar.
Hands if you're familiar. If you're mildly unfamiliar, that's cool too. Okay, sweet. I can just breeze through this for you guys. But basically, this is just like a way of thinking about how protocols are structured and at what level they live. So physical, literally just the cable. Like, you know, electrons at the wire. Data link right above that, so basis Ethernet. It's very rudimentary still. Network is going to be IP and all the stuff like that. So ICMP, which is Internet Control Message Protocol, a few others. I'm not going to go into each one that's on there because a lot of them are funky. They're not things that you'll see normally. Above that is transport, so that's, I guess, more normal. TCP and UDP are the 2 big ones that you'll see. So transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol. Yes? Yes, I got those right. Sweet. Anybody know the difference? Just really quick before we move on, make sure you know. Yes.
TCP keeps the connection and maintains it and then ends it. UDP just sends it out.
Outstanding. Thank you. Appreciate that. Really good job. So one cares and actually makes sure that stuff gets through. The other one is a little bit like just throwing a ball down the hallway and hoping it makes it to your friend without checking. It's a terrible analogy, but it's fine. 5, SMB and NetBIOS. So probably won't see NetBIOS, but SMB you'll see. Anybody know what SMB is? Yes.
Basically, it's a protocol to share files across the network.
Yep.
Server message block.
Yes, both are correct. Bit of both. I wanted to know both, so perfect 2 for outstanding job, guys. So good teamwork. So layer 6, that's presentation. It's a little bit funky. We just had like mine and TLS and stuff like that sitting out there. Mine is mail stuff. Don't worry about it. TLS. Got anybody want to take it that I haven't heard from?
Encryption.
Essentially, yes. Yes, you're correct. Encryption in transit. So it's all good. And then I think at the top, a lot of people are familiar with some of those protocols. So HTTP, it's everywhere. Text transmission.
Text transfer protocol.
Yes, I can't get worse than that. It's hard. It's fine. All right. So again, breezing through networking, trying to get to more interesting stuff. So tools of interest, TCP dump and Wireshark, and that's just packet information. Wireshark's going to give you a lot more information, so it's a lot more in depth. Like you can actually look at what went over the wire. TCP was TCP dump is really just data about what's getting transferred. So it's more like what are the headers for a packet, or what information in theory might be getting transferred versus like what's actually getting through. Nmap, I have an asterisk there. Don't fucking use it on a live network. Like you don't have permission to use it on. Seriously, don't commit crimes, kids. Useful for network discovery and also. Yes, but do you want to explain that to someone that might think so? I personally don't. So just a lot easier not to use it unless you have permission. It's not technically a crime to use it, but lawyers don't really know the difference. So if you want to have a long conversation with the prosecutor, that's fine. Yes. Yeah, so if you have permission to use it on a network, so like if you own the network, like go nuts. If you have permission to use it on a network, so like our lab, like I don't care. Cyber range stuff mostly is fine. Macbox, stuff like that. That's like for training.
Not UC secure.
Not UC secure. That's
UC guest. Or UC guest.
yes. Or interim. Please don't. Please don't have conversations with prosecutors. Nobody wants to. So anyway, useful for finding things that are on a network and finding things that you can split. Netcat, very simple, rudimentary tool that basically just allows you to send whatever you want. TCP or UDP. Really, you'll mostly see it with CTF problems, and then also if people are doing weird things. So, moving on to more interesting things. Fun. I gotta do the disclaimer again. This is purely theoretical. Don't use this. Too long didn't read is fuck around and find out. The other one is play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Don't do this on UC's network, please. So, I'm kind of breezing through this. I'm going to slow down around here. So basically, this kind of came about because Josh was trying to find where Franco was at UC and didn't want to just run around. It sounds creepier than it is. I think it was basically for like, I think Franco like challenged him to find him or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's fine. It's not what you think. As he started trying to figure out how he would actually go about doing this, he ended up going down a really interesting rabbit hole that goes through how UC's network set up and a bunch of other kind of interesting information, at least to me.
What's supposed to know?
Well, that UC doesn't like to tell people, so this will be fun.
Oh no.
Yeah, so
Oh,
he decided
I see what
to
this is doing.
he decided to write a massive one-liner. If you don't know what this is, I promise I will explain. It's fine.
Oh no.
So basically, he wrote like a one-liner bash command. Everybody know what bash is? Yes, no? Okay. Bash is essentially shell. You can just run whatever you want. So
The scripting language for Linux. Sort of.
Okay.
So we've heard
From
of PowerShell
understanding-
or Batch
Yeah,
for
there you go.
Windows on the command line.
So-
Is that basically?
Yeah, it's just command line.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay, it's no worries. So command line, in this case, basically you're making calls to different programs that are on there in a programmatic way. Also, you can be making like system calls, so doing things without the UI essentially. Does that make sense for my, or command line? Okay.
So, if I'm understanding this correctly, is this literally scanning every single IP address on the UC secure network?
No. Well, I promise I will explain. Well, he's excited. He's ready. So basically, what this massive piece of madness does is it spits out phone numbers. So I promise I will explain how it does this, but because we kind of need to go forward with it. It's how UC plans out and sets out the addressing scheme. So it's kind of how it works. You know how you have 4 octets, so 4 4 numbers between 1 and 255. You're right, 0 and 255. My brain is not at full capacity today. So does anybody know why this is 10 dot? Just, I know this is super stupid. This is like a relatively simple question. Somebody that I have not heard from, please. Give me something, guys. There we go.
It's a local network.
Yes. It's internal, so not accessible from the outside. So 10, then the next octet is the building, then it's a block of IPs. Usually it roughly equates with where they are, like floor-wise, which is problematic for a number of different reasons that we'll get into. And then the last one's the device. So we can figure out pretty easily which building the IPs correspond to. A lot of good ones. So how we figure this out is from the management devices. So all of these are /16 CIDR. So because I have no expectation that anybody knows what a CIDR block is, basically it specifies what is for the network. So 10.51, right, is network controlled. It's specifying the building. Everything after that is subject to either other like smaller networks that are inside of it, subnets, or an actual device or any other networking constructs you may think of. So management devices, think routers. Just easiest way to think about it. I don't want to get into too deep in the weeds of like other management devices that are out there. So for some reason, UC decided it would be a good idea to broadcast the names of these devices publicly. As you can see, 10.51 is probably Swift. So the prefix. Fun times, good times, I guess. Gotta love UC. So any questions before I move on? I know I've been breezing through. Yes.
Still like this?
Yes. It has not changed. This was from a year ago. I'm very confident UC has not changed this.
I didn't know that.
It's all theoretical. Don't worry about it.
Lots of research.
Theoretical. Come on, man. Kill me, Skylar.
So wait, is the 3rd octet literally just the floor number?
It can be. It's not always the floor.
Why would you set it up like that?
It's UC. I
I'm
mean,
not gonna do it.
so sometimes, so basically, we'll move on. But
It should be okay.
so VoIP phones. UC uses VoIP phones on the desks of like. Well, that's a VoIP phone there. There's a bunch of VoIP phones. They're everywhere. So, funnily enough, they also broadcast a name.
Cool.
What?
acronyms.
VoIP, voice over IP. So basically, instead of using like phone lines, just be over the internet. Make sense? Yes, no? Good? Any other acronyms that I missed? Please tell me. Guys, tell
We'll
me.
keep you honest, we'll keep you honest.
You're doing good, you're doing good.
Okay, sweet.
What is that? Consider.
Cider. I honestly do not remember the acronym. Give me 2
It's
seconds.
like
I'm gonna check.
common internet something.
Okay, here we go. Classless interdomain routing. So that's not. But essentially, it's just specifying how the network is run. That's probably the easiest way to think about it. You will probably take a networking class sometime in the next couple years if you're familiar with it. My bet is you might be taking one now if you're in IT, and I promise that we'll go over it in more detail. I can also, I just don't want to do it and spend a bunch of time on it. So voice over IP. So these phones, they have an open port 80 and they run a web server, every single one of them, with a bunch of configuration details, which is really fun. Because the names aren't super helpful. I mean, I don't know what they mean, and they don't really seem to have a format. So you can actually connect to those IPs, and it'll give you this, with a phone number, because that's a good idea. And it'll also give you a bunch of other stuff like host name and MAC address. And all. There's a bunch of like other things that are not in here, which are fun. So rough process of how you would get the phone number. This just automates it for us. Yeah. I'm going to explain. So you start out with a map. We're specifying essentially the 10.51.0.0/16 block. So first two, so we go back. We're getting every IP in Swift.
Regex.
Yes. So does everybody know? Does anybody know what that like straight line is after? Anybody want to? That I have not heard from.
That's the type that takes the output of that command.
Amazing. So redirects the previous command's output as the input for the new one. So what it's doing in the second one, it's basically grabbing just the VoIP phones, and then it's shoving it into another grep, which I apologize for the regular. Yes.
What's grep?
Grep basically you give it a string of text, so a couple characters, and it just grabs the lines that meet that criteria. So essentially, it's filtering. There's a lot more complexity, which unfortunately is in line 3 that I'll have to explain more in depth, because that's ugly but works.
Fun fact, grep stands for, if I remember correctly, it's like globally search using a regular expression for blah, blah, blah. That's literally what it stands for.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea what grep stands for, so I just know it does that. So thank you for teaching me something. So the next bit, apologies for the pain, but essentially what it's doing is, so if you notice how there's these multiple different blocks. So we're gonna start in kind of, I wish I had like a laser pointer or something, but so that first group, that's 0 to 9 bracket 1, 3. Basically what that's finding is anything from basically 99999 to 0, that's followed by a dot. That's all it's doing, and then it's doing that 3 times, which is what the next kind of curly braces 3 is. And then after that, it's doing 0 to 9 between, it's the same thing, but without the dot, essentially, which is the format for IPs, at least for IPv4, IPv6. So then it's going to redirect the output of that into XArgs, which XArgs is fun. So Basically, it's gonna takes whatever it is, and then shoves it into another command in like its spot that it's not, that it wouldn't normally go into. So in this case, saying that, hey, those like double curly brace with nothing in it, that's what we're gonna use to replace. And then the next bit is the command that's actually gonna go run. So wget, which pulls down something. Basically it's just HTTP get. It's really all it is. And it's saying get it from that IP for all the IPs that get put in. And it's gonna pipe that out to this, which grabs the phone number. Anybody have questions or that I didn't describe well, please tell me. Anybody have questions? Yes?
So wait, for the IPs, why search through every number from 0 to 999 instead of 0 to 255? It's easier and no one wants to deal with regex.
Yeah, essentially. So this is a lot simpler to show, really. You could filter it down so that way it's just between 0 to 55.
But no one wants to do that.
Correct. It's just a lot more work and it gets uglier.
It about doubles the length of that expression.
Yeah, it about doubles the length of this. So I think nobody wants to be staring at confusing regular expressions for longer than necessary. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, there's always some regular expression fanatics out there. I don't know any, but apparently they exist. So, how could this be used? Does anybody have any ideas on how we can use some of what this information is? That I haven't heard from, please. Okay, we got it.
You could fish them, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good approach. Yeah.
You could like call, like you could send every or like calls to every phone to prevent like calls from going through.
Yeah, denial of service. Good spot. Anybody else?
You can find people.
Yes. Maybe. I honestly don't know. But maybe. Anybody else?
Is it possible to listen on a conversation, or there'll be like another step?
What's that?
The phone has to be activated, right? You have to take it off to listen.
Yeah. I don't know. Somebody wants to mess around with WIP phones. Feel free to tell me.
On it.
Please don't do it on UC's network, like buy a WIP phone. But yeah, I actually don't know. It's an interesting one. Yeah. Figure it out. I will try to find an answer to that. I don't know. So here's an example. What if I want to find Pintos Phone and call him? Like not like his cell phone or something, but like the desk phone. You know, the phone that's on his desk. Not like his, assistant or whatever that's, public, right? Or his office. I want to find the actual device and call him. So we know he works in University Pavilion, which is this big ugly building. You may not recognize it because it's very much under construction for no reason. So we also know he works in the top floor of that building. So that kind of brings it down to what block it could potentially be, right? And it gets us down to 39 phone numbers. I actually don't know how you would get it any more condensed.
Try every single one.
Without getting kicked out of school. That's the part that I forgot to mention. So yeah, it's kind of a bizarre way to use it, but I don't know, maybe I really hate Pinto and I just want to call him. Tell him that he sucks. I don't know. Definitely
Tell
not
them
my
to fix housing.
What?
Tell them to fix housing.
Yeah, there we go. Tell him to fix housing.
I don't think it's gonna let you get kicked out.
Please don't actually call Pinto. So can this actually be fixed? The answer is very much yes. So the Cisco VoIP phones, you can actually set up for its configuration page with all that information. and actually password protect them. It's really not that hard. You basically just have to like check a box. But this is UC and apparently that's true. So I love it. Yes.
Talk to UC about this.
I think Josh did. Josh tried. They told him no. They told him to leave them alone. I'm pretty sure is what they roughly equated to.
That's kind of sad. That's like pointing out a vulnerability in the system that could be future exploited and trying to fix it.
I mean, yeah, but also theoretically, yes. Again, this was all theory. I did not actually do any of this. This was done by Josh in theory. So yeah, anybody have questions for me? Anybody?
Is Josh still in his major? Did he graduate?
Josh is here. He's not able to attend Wednesday meetings.
Josh is in chat. He said UCIT is well aware.
Yeah, okay. So UCIT is aware.
He said,
Josh
who
is in
cares?
So, you know. Well, yeah. Who cares? Yes.
Can I run Nmap on all
No,
of the things?
Do not do this on UC's network, please. I don't want to get kicked out.
Is there a way
I
for
don't
them
want
to,
you to go.
is there a way for them to like spot you?
Yes.
Nmap?
Yes.
Yes.
Nmap sends a lot of traffic that is very easy to detect because it's kind of just like flooding one IP address with.
Very right.
Yeah.
Do they have people monitoring the how to?
In theory, yes. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really think they look too much or that hard.
Say, I don't.
What we do is stealth. No, it still shows up. Nothing is stealth. Okay, so Josh is in class, but if you have any actual like questions for him, he will answer in chat and he will use my voice. So, anybody have anything for Josh who actually did this? Okay. Yes.
Has he used this outside of UC?
Josh, have you used it outside of UC?
Got like 10-second delay stream, so
Jeopardy song.
like 20 seconds to reply.
Yeah, I guess not. No, the answer is no. That took a really long time for an answer.
I was expecting a paragraph.
I mean, yeah, it is kind of expected. So somebody in the chat was like, "What number, unfortunately." No, not me. Okay, that's cool. So that's pretty much it for the actual technical information. If you're interested in doing public affairs or finance, please come to Manti 516 tomorrow. We genuinely need the help. A bunch of work just popped up. As you see. Yeah. Anything before I close?
Is lab canceled on Monday?
Yes, lab is canceled on Monday. I know, it's so sad. We'll be back the week after. I'm not going to be here. I mean, unless Anthony wants to do it alone.
I didn't know if this was Labor Day.
Oh, it is Labor Day. That's right. Yeah, no, we're not doing it on Labor Day. I forgot Monday was Labor Day.
Oh,
cool.
No, we're not doing CTF. Lab is canceled.
Okay,
CTF.
well, that's all I got. So,
It's gonna be the down.
I'm not even kidding.
Frankly, I'll stay there until